Coming up is part 1 of the course from makethattrack.com. As a member of our website, you get access to all the links, presets, samples and loops, and also project files, including MIDI, for all the tutorials on the site. Enjoy this free tutorial and be sure to check us out at makethattrack.com.
Hey guys, welcome to part 1 of our FL Studio Progressive House tutorial. In this video, we're going to be setting up our basic drum kits and drum rhythms. But first, before we get to that, let's just do a couple preliminary things to set up our project. So the first thing we're going to do is adjust our tempo, and I've already adjusted mine to be 128, but by default it's going to be 130. And to change this, all you have to do is mouse over the tempo window, click and drag downwards, and then we'll bring that to 128. And the only other thing I want to show you before we begin is how to get a custom folder set up so that we can use it within the browser here on the left. So we're going to go over to Options, File Settings, and then right here in the middle window, we're going to have a bunch of custom folders that we can set. So we just click on the folder icon, and it's going to ask us where we want to set our custom folders. So we can just navigate to wherever we want to and put our samples in that folder. So I've already done this. I'm just going to go ahead and close those settings. And then it should pop up over here on the left. And I've called mine Assets. So I'm just going to click and open that. And now I have all of my MIDI presets and samples that we're going to be using for this tutorial. Okay, with that being said, let's get back to the drums. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up what's called an FPC. And that's going to allow us to assign a few different audio clips to this device. And that will let us either play the drum kit with a MIDI keyboard, or we can use a MIDI clip to write in a drum pattern. So in order to get an FPC in here, we're going to go over to the pattern window, which is this window here. We're going to right click and choose Insert FPC. Okay, and then it's going to open up an FPC for us. And by default, it already has some sounds assigned to these pads here. So if I click on them, we can hear those. But what we want to do is assign our own audio. So we're going to empty out this, and in order to do that, we just click on this arrow here, go to Presets, and then Empty. Now all of these pads are going to be empty, and we can assign our own. Okay, so we're going to go over to our Samples folder here and hop into the Drums folder. And all we have to do is click and drag onto these pads in order to assign an audio clip. So I'm going to grab our kick, our clap snare. We're going to have a closed hat, an open hat, and another closed hat with a little bit of reverb on it. Okay, so now I can click on these pads to play the audio that we just assigned. Or what I can do is press the corresponding notes on my MIDI keyboard that these pads are assigned to. So for instance, our clap snare is assigned to C3. So if I was to press C3, it would play this sound. Okay, and every pad has their own different note. So if I click on our closed hat, see that that is F#3. Okay, so what we can do now is we can write in a drum pattern with a MIDI clip. So I'm going to close that, and I actually have an FPC already loaded up here, so I'm just going to delete this duplicate. Okay, and to start writing a MIDI clip, what we have to do is right-click on FPC, and then choose Piano Roll. Okay, and now we can edit our drum pattern. So I'm going to just draw in some kicks here just by clicking. Okay. All right, now let's get some snares in there. Every second beat. Okay, and you're going to notice that these are sounding like they're coming in a little bit late. So we're going to zoom in here a little bit, and then we're going to hold Control or Command and then drag over these to select them. Then we're going to hold Alt so that we can bypass the grid here and just slide them over a little bit to the left. Okay, now they're in time. Okay, now let's just put our closed hats in here. I'm going to have this on every downbeat and every upbeat. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the closed hat that's on the downbeat quieter than the one on the upbeat. And to do this, I just have to select this note here. And then I can edit this pillar over here, which is a velocity pillar, which edits the volume of that note. So if I just drag this down, okay, now we have sort of a dynamic rhythm here. And then I'll just drag over these to select them, and then I can hold Shift and drag these to duplicate. Okay. And then we'll put in our open hats on every beat. And we want to make sure that we're drawing these in at the right velocity. So since the last note that we edited had a low velocity, the next note we draw in is going to have that same velocity. So we're just going to drag this back up. And then our other closed hat will have also on every downbeat. Okay, so now that we have our basic drum rhythm, we can go back into the FPC and we can edit a few things. So what we can do is we can go back into each sound here and edit the volumes. So for instance, on our closed hat, you can see that I've adjusted the volume here. We have a few options in each sound. We have our volume knob, we have our panning knob, and our pitch knob. So I've just brought down the volume of a few of these, as you can see, just to make things sound a little bit better. Okay, so another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into our snare, and I'm going to pitch it up a little bit. Let's do that by 200 cents. And if we look in the top left here, right here, we'll see that it has a readout of how much I'm pitching it by exactly. Okay, so we'll go to 200 cents here. Okay, and that's just going to make it a little bit snappier, and I think it sounds a little bit better at a higher pitch. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually edit the amp envelope of one of our hi-hats here. So I'm going to go to our open hat, and right here we have our ADSR envelope. And what this allows us to do is basically control the volume dynamics of the sound. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on this to activate it. And then I'm going to drag the attack back because we want this to hit instantly. If I were to drag it over here, you'd see it has sort of a dull sound. Whereas if I bring it over here, it's more snappy. Hits instantly. And then we're just going to drag the sustain down to about here. Maybe drag back the decay. Okay, so now it's a little bit shorter, a little bit snappier. And if I show you a before and after, you'll be able to hear the difference here. So I'm going to turn this off and then play it. And turn it on. And there you go. Okay, next let's get some audio clips in here. So I'm going to paint this into our song timeline just by going over to this window and then clicking and dragging with our paintbrush here. I'll just draw into 16 bars. Now if I want to play on the song mode, I just have to go over here next to our play button and choose song instead of pattern. And now the playhead is over here in this window. Okay, now we can get some audio clips in here. So let's get another open hat. Drag that in here. And we're going to have this happen every 2 bars just before the final snare. Okay, now let's get a loop in here. So drag open hats 3. Okay, and we're going to have this on the upbeat. then let's just make this a little bit more interesting with a reverse clap sound. And this is just a clap, the same clap snare that we have in our drum kit that has been had a reverb put on it and then reversed. And we're just going to have this happen just like with our Open Hat 2, every 2 bars just before the final snare. All right, and that's going to do it for our basic drum rhythm. In the next video, we're going to be setting up the instruments for our song.
We hope you've enjoyed part 1 of this course. To continue, please go to the website and select a membership to suit your needs. Welcome to MakeThatTrack.com. At Make That Track, we provide everything you need to make your favourite style of music from start to finish. Our Getting Started series will show a complete beginner where to start and what they need to do to start making music out of the box. Once the basics are grasped, you can learn how to make the genre of your choice with everything that you need in the process. Want to know how to make that elusive sound from your favourite producer's tracks? Check out our How to Make That Sound tutorials. We take the guesswork out and show you exactly what you need to do to get that sound within a few simple steps. With tips on arrangement, mixing, mastering and effects, you'll have everything you need to prepare your tracks to send to a record label and to play in the clubs. Get everything you need to make the music you love today.